Time for another Soccer Down Here 1v1. Time to catch up with friend of the network, owner and president, South Georgia Tormenta FC, Darin van Tasssell, for the coming out of 2021, heading into 2022, long-ranging topic of interviews. Darin, great to have you back.
Great to have you, John. Good to be with you. Twos are going to be my lottery tickets this year. There's a lot of them in the dates.
All right. So my first question, since we're out of 2021 on the calendar and into 2022 now, what did Tormenta learn about itself as a franchise in 2021?
I think it's a confirmation that we're doing a ton of things right. And it's a confirmation of there's so many things that we have to continue to stay the course with. And I think publicly, the public interacts with sports teams on wins and losses. We've got to win more. We got to make the playoffs, and we got to win a championship. But I think at the very core of what we're doing, it's a reaffirmation that we're doing things well and we're doing things that matter. Adding a women's side for this summer and continue to grow our second team and turning those guys into future pros. We now get a chance to do that on the women's side. We've upped our game a little bit on the front office by adding some folks there. And of course, being able, I think, to field a first class with players on the pitch and coaches and running a deep academy takes a lot of integration. And I think 2021 was a lot of that. And I think in 22, we get to reap the rewards of a lot of that integration.
When I mention the birth of the women's side in USL W, I know that obviously with you and Nitra, it has been a point. It's been a focal point of the growth of the organization. Now that it is actually pen to paper, players are being signed. They're now a part of the family. You're having these open tryouts and you're getting ready for a season that's going to start before we know it. What's it like to have all of this stuff in motion now?
More of the same. We've got a little experience with doing it this time. So bringing Coach Robbins along board with our new folks that we've signed. I'm really excited about the ones we've been able to announce. Equally excited about the ones that we're going to continue to let folks know. It takes a lot of people to run a public organization. I think that's what sports are. They are community flagships, and they're when your organization lives in a public world, it's important to get all those things right. John, this is a fun time. It's a fulfilling time. It's a time where we've gone through resilience, more resilience to come. It's a time of optimism, and it's a time for being defiant that you don't stop and you continue to go. And so 22 becomes really the year where we add to the physical infrastructure of Tormenta, whereas up until now we've been really growing the organizational side and the teams that are going to play in.
Because one of the things in business that I think a lot of folks may not necessarily act upon is the notion crisis creates opportunity. And coming out of the last 2 years, the way that we have, I think that it gives any businessman or any organization the opportunity to grow and advance, think about how to do things a little differently, and at the same time still work on those core values and those core ideas that you wanted it to work on in the first place, say 24 months ago. How close is that to being what you've been looking at down there with South Georgia Tormenta with all the growth that's on the table?
You don't go through something like this without really coming to lean in hard and heavy on the people you work with and work around, whether that was coaches or players or front office personnel or academy coaches, families and parents and fans. I think we all have come to value each other more because we couldn't do a lot of the external pieces. It became internal. But listen, the external pieces we also crave. We crave the games and the wins and building things on that side. I think if you understand Tormenta, you understand it's a community club. It's a club that has massive aspirations. It's the smallest market in professional market that plays pro soccer in the United States. And so with that comes massive opportunities for us. And we're eager to get started where those things are going to take us. We've got, we're in that season now where season tickets are going out. We're buying tickets. We're building stadiums where we have games on the schedule, both League One and League Two. And we're putting together the schedule for the W League. The Open Cup's on the horizon. Things are starting to feel like the soccer world feels. We've got World Cups happening and qualifiers happening. And I think Tormenta, while we love being part of Greater Statesboro and South Georgia and Low Country of South Carolina, we also see ourselves as part of that global soccer landscape in terms of all those things happening beyond us. And we're proudly a part of it all.
You mentioned building stadiums, so I'll go ahead and go in there. So what is the latest where the stadium construction is? What do folks need to know? Timetables, those kinds of things, because I know that in our conversations that we've had in years past, that was to be a cornerstone, not just of a sports franchise and what have you, but a cornerstone in Statesboro for its growth and for its acknowledgement in the Low Country and as a part of the footprint here in the Southeast. What's the latest?
Well, naively, we will have the best pitch in the United States. There's not going to be any that are better. There's going to be a whole bunch just as well this season. And naively, in April or May, we'll have our stands up. We'll have the lights up. We'll have beautiful Samsung digital boards that are up, and then the rest is going to be under construction for us. And those amenities will be well underway, but we will be playing in the new stadium this year. If it's not ready, Irk Russell awaits us and we will be there. We're not going to get it until the pitch is just like we need it to be. We've done some things. I think, one of the things about being in South Georgia is grass grows fast and it grows well. And so we've done some things that'll add to that. But if we need to have a backup plan, we will have that. But rest assured, fans are going to have a new address to go park their cars and watch Tormenta play and all Tormenta be playing in this season.
When it comes to the league itself in League One, you're going to have some new dance partners, and the league meetings happened a couple of weeks ago as you and I are talking. I guess, what did you get to learn about the league itself coming out of 21 and 22? How were the meetings for those that didn't get to come down and hang out and sit there and hang outside the hotel and all the conference rooms and find out what's going on?
Yeah. Well, when that starts happening, I know John Nelson will be in the lobby. I think for us, because we play at League One and League Two and the W League, the only league and the USL Academy, the only division that Tormenta is not represented in that room is the USL Championship. The Super League's coming on the women's side. There are a few clubs actually in the USL that have as many footprints as we do, and I think one of the real outstanding things was to be a part of an organization that it encompasses all those things. There is no other soccer organization in the world that both has men and women's pro soccer underneath that umbrella. You can't point to a single one on the planet, and I think the USL takes a great deal of pride in that. And we've got a lot of things to figure out. Super League starts in 23, and even though Tormenta won't have a team in the Super League, that's still part of the USL. And I think one of the nice things is having owners over the last couple of years sort of see ourselves in each of those leagues, even if we don't have a footprint in there. There's some big moments coming up collectively. There's new TV broadcast rights and digital media rights that'll be done. So on the business side, there's some fun things that are there, and we've moved into a streaming world, and that'll be some fun things for the whole league to leverage itself in terms of what's coming there. On the day-to-day and pieces that are there, I think the excitement about having women representation in the USL on teams was probably the talk of where the leagues were. But clearly the league's been wide open about its desires to, continue to think about what does a global calendar look like and what does promotion relegation look like. While no decisions have been made on there, it is a wide open conversation that's going on. And we have a lot of homework to do to try to to make sure that we are one of the leagues of choice, and also one of the top pro leagues, in CONCACAF. And I think the USL absolutely sees itself that way, and we're trying to position our way as such.
What's it like being a flag bearer with this three-dimensional approach that Tormenta has? It's not just one league, one team. It's across the board in a lot of different aspects. What's it like being a flag bearer and having everyone else see what's going on down there in Statesboro?
Well, it's nice. I get to talk to people like John Nelson about how we're doing. I think it's a lot of responsibility, isn't it? On the W League, we have a huge responsibility to our academy. On League Two, we have a huge responsibility to our academy, and also on the first team to continue to supply players for that. John, it is genuinely exciting. We do interviews and we overuse the word exciting too much. It is very fulfilling to be a part of it. I don't always know the answers. We're going to reserve the right to get smarter. We have more mistakes that are coming our way, but this stuff matters to us professionally as people that come to work. I think it matters to us as certainly, trying to grow the game. I think we do feel a responsibility to soccer beyond just South Georgia, and it's remarkably fulfilling. I think we're going to put a product on the field this year on the first team, League Two, and on the W League. That's going to get a lot of talk about on the sports page too.
What's the most recent thing that you've learned, whether it's as a business owner or as a franchise? You mentioned that there's growth, there's mistakes that are made. What was the last thing that you've learned that you can apply going forward?
Here's what I think the USL has increasingly done a really good job of. It's not a collection of people that just want to get together and play soccer. We want to get together and use soccer as a vehicle to have a pretty massive community footprint. We're not playing checkers. This is a lot of adult decisions that are being made, and a lot of big boy and big girl decisions that are going to happen. And I think when we think about that, we have a role to the sports world. I think that's a big shift that's changed since where we started in 2015, at least with my own experiences. There's much to learn about all of that, because I think when you start getting a bigger spotlight placed upon you, the responsibilities change. They change in terms of, how effective and promising are our television broadcasts, for example. What's our Spanish language reach? What are our transfer fees looking like when we have players, and we currently have players that are, where we have European clubs and MLS teams looking at? Those are new things for us to deal with, both as a club but also as a league, and they're really, really exciting. But I think it's a sign of where we've grown to.
But you've been a flag bearer in that regard as well with Connor Antley and those kinds of transactions. So I think that there's a lot of information that can be gleaned from those steps that you've been taking, not just internally, but within a league structure as well. When it comes to all of these new things, do you feel like a 7-year-old? I mean, because I'm sure that there are days when you sit there and go, man, it was just yesterday that we were in our terrible twos. Now you're a 7-year-old. Right. How does that feel? Yeah,
it's 7-year-old in dog years. And so that goes up even faster, doesn't it? But I think that is what's going on. It's exponential. It's not linear. And it's a lot to keep up with. But there are no dull days, to the whole thing. I think you're asking the right question. And tomorrow I'm a little bit smarter on this without being vague, sort of things. These are really challenging times. They're heady times, but they're kind of times that we asked for to be in the middle of. And I'm going to go back to, what are some of the lessons that we've learned? The competition in the USL is unbelievable how good it is. I think at League One, I think that is not been a surprise, but that's a massive source of gratification. And as we're going through this, I think the owners in the league very much see ourselves on the same team throughout the ecosystem. And we just, we got to smash each other when we play each other on the field. But I just got off a call with 38 owners. And, that's an exciting piece when owners and presidents of clubs are talking about, hey, how do we move these things forward? And we meet routinely and regularly like this. And bringing our fan bases, in terms of those things, I think is remarkably gratifying.
So what's next on the to-do list? I know that you've got a new round of tryouts for Tormenta FC on the women's side coming up in a couple of weeks. What's on the calendar that you're going to be paying attention to over the next little while?
Well, tomorrow we've got to get the bleachers and the irrigation system underneath the field ordered, and then we've got to get all the tractors off of it here in the next month, so those things can go down and all the infrastructure can go in place. A long ways away from now is the first weekend of February when we're going to do those trials that you just mentioned too. Mm-hmm. So, a whopping 21 days away. Mm-hmm. But I think, listen, that's going to be upon us. And then the first team players are going to report immediately the next week. And we've got, exhibition games with Atlanta United too, and the Rowdies and a whole bunch of other ones as we get going. Where we speak, we're still deciding, is the Open Cup going to start for us the last week of March or the first week of April? But those are the ordinary conversations that come up now. And, our first couple of years of Tormenta, even qualifying for the Open Cup was a huge story for us. But we've got much to do. The business of South Georgia Tormenta FC is ever present, because even when the first team's not playing, the academy doesn't sleep. And we've got to get players for our W and second team, and some that'll be playing on the first team. You guys know that's an important part for us. We've got a staff that's growing. The university's back in, which means interns continue to grow. John, this is fun. I want to know when we get to be part-time communications director. You're never full-time. That's Bernadette's job, but it's always good to check in with you and let you be part of what we're doing at Tormenta.
Well, it's always fun to catch up, my friend, because seeing how things continue to grow and evolve, you're right there at the front of the line when it comes to seeing what it means, not just to the sport, but to the region and to the U.S. Owner and president, South Georgia Tormenta FC, Darin van Tasssell, friend of the network, hanging out for another 1v1 as we get into 2022, and games that count will be here before we know it. DVT, thanks for hanging out with us for a 1v1.
Can't wait, and I'm ready to keep score.